Lock your doors. It's time for another story. I moved into my apartment in October. Ground floor, one bedroom, cheap because the building was old and the radiators clanked all night. I didn't mind. I liked ground floor. Less stairs, less neighbors to run into, less reason to talk to anyone I didn't want to. The building itself was one of those pre-war places. Thick brick walls, hardwood floors that had been refinished so many times they'd gone almost black in the hallways. My unit was small, but it had good light in the mornings, and the rent was $200 under anything else I'd looked at. I told myself I'd gotten lucky. The woman upstairs, though, I heard her before I ever saw her. Every night around 2 a.m., footsteps, slow, deliberate, like someone pacing a straight line from one end of the apartment to the other, over and over, heel to toe, the same 11 or 12 steps each time before turning around. I figured she had insomnia, maybe a baby. I didn't think much of it. I even joked about it with a coworker, told her I had a ghost who kept office hours. 3 weeks in, I ran into the building super in the hallway. He was an older guy, maybe 60, always smelled like cigarettes and WD-40. I asked him, half joking, if the woman upstairs ever slept. He looked at me for a second too long, the kind of pause that makes you regret asking a question. Apartment 2B's been empty since June, he said. Guy who lived there passed. Nobody's rented it since. I laughed it off. Told him he must be thinking of a different unit, that I heard someone up there every single night, clear as anything. He didn't laugh back. He just said, "Huh," and went back to fixing the lock on the mailroom door, like he didn't want to keep talking about it. That night, the footsteps started again at 2 a.m., same pace, same line, wall to wall. I lay there staring at my ceiling, doing the math in my head, and the math didn't work. There was no one up there. I'd just been told there was no one up there by the man who held the keys to every unit in the building. I started recording. Every night, I'd set my phone on the nightstand, point it at the ceiling, and let it run till morning. Stupid, probably, but I needed some kind of proof. For myself, if nothing else. For 4 nights, nothing except the footsteps, audio only, exactly where I expected them, exactly on schedule, like whoever it was ran on a timer. On the 5th night, the footsteps stopped in the middle of the room, right above my bed. And they didn't start again. I lay frozen, eyes on the ceiling, waiting for them to continue. My whole body had gone rigid, the way it does when you're a kid and you're sure something's under the bed. They didn't continue. Instead, I heard something else. A dragging sound. Slow, heavy, like something being pulled across the floor an inch at a time, pausing every few seconds like whoever, or whatever, was doing it needed to catch its breath. It moved toward the corner of the room directly above my closet. Then it stopped again. I didn't sleep. I lay there with my eyes open until the sky started turning gray outside my window, and only then did I get up the nerve to check my phone recording. 4 hours of audio. The footsteps, right on schedule. The stop above my bed, right on schedule. But no dragging sound. Nothing. Total silence for the last 2 hours of the file, even though I'd been lying there listening to it happen in real time, close enough that I could have told you exactly how many feet it moved. I played it back 3 times, headphones in, volume all the way up, just to be sure. Silence. Perfect, clean silence, where I knew, with absolute certainty, that something had been dragging itself across the floor above my head. I moved out 9 days later. I told my landlord it was a job relocation. He didn't ask questions. I got the sense he'd heard that excuse before, maybe more than once, maybe from the last 3 or 4 tenants in my unit. The last night, packing boxes at midnight, I went out to my car for a final load. When I looked up at the building, out of habit, I looked at 2B's window. I don't know why. I hadn't planned to. The light was on, and for just a second, I saw someone standing in it, perfectly still, looking straight down at my car. Not moving, not waving, just watching. I didn't go back for the rest of my stuff. I left 2 boxes and a lamp behind and just drove. To this day, I don't know who or what was pacing that empty apartment every night. But sometimes, in my new place, I still wake up at 2 a.m. And for a few seconds, before I'm fully conscious, I swear I can hear it. Footsteps, right above me. Even though I live on the top floor now, there's nothing above me at all. I drove Rideshare for about a year and a half to cover rent during grad school. Mostly it was fine. Drunk college kids, airport runs, the occasional weird conversation about crypto from a guy in the front seat who tipped well enough that I let it slide. You get used to it. You stop being surprised by people. That's the job. Then there was the ride that made me quit the very next day, and I've never driven for any of those apps again since. It was a Tuesday, close to 1 a.m., dead quiet on the app, and I got a ping from an address way out past the edge of town. One of those roads with no streetlights, just fields on either side, the kind of route that shows up as a thin gray line on the map with nothing around it. I almost declined it. Something told me to decline it. Some small voice I usually ignore. I didn't listen to it. I never do. When I pulled up, there was a woman already standing on the side of the road, not at the house the pin was dropped on, just standing in the grass at the property line, arms crossed, like she'd been waiting there a while. No house lights on behind her, no car, nothing. She got in without saying much, just gave me an address downtown and stared out the window, hands folded in her lap, very still. I tried small talk, the way you do to fill dead air. Asked how her night was. Nothing. Asked if she was heading home. Nothing. She just kept looking out at the dark fields going by like she was searching for something specific out there, something she expected to find. About 10 minutes in, she finally spoke. She said, real quiet, almost to herself more than to me, "Do you ever feel like someone's still with you, even after they're gone?" I laughed a little, said something like, "Sure, in spirit, right? Like a memory kind of thing." Trying to keep it light, trying to steer it back to normal conversation. She didn't laugh. She turned her head, slow, and looked at me in the mirror. "No," she said. "I mean actually with you. In the car." I checked my mirrors, more out of nerves than anything. Back seat was empty, obviously. She was the only passenger, sitting right behind me. I told her that, gently, like you would with someone who maybe wasn't doing great mentally, maybe grieving, maybe not all there. She just nodded slowly and went back to looking out the window, like my answer had confirmed something for her rather than reassured her. We drove another 15 minutes in total silence after that, the kind of silence that gets heavier the longer it sits. Then, without warning, she said, "Pull over here," even though we were nowhere near her drop-off address, still a good 10 minutes out. Nothing around us but dark fields and a fence line. I asked if she was sure, if everything was okay. She just said please, flat, no emotion in it at all, like the word cost her something to say. I pulled onto the shoulder, gravel crunching under the tires. She got out, walked around to my side of the car, and leaned down to the window. She looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time the whole ride, and up close her eyes were bloodshot, like she'd been crying for hours before I ever picked her up, and said, "He says thank you for the ride. He's been trying to get home for a long time." Then she just walked off into the dark field. No car waiting, no house nearby that I could see. Just gone into the black, and within a few seconds I couldn't make her out at all anymore. I sat there for a solid minute before I could make myself drive away, hands still on the wheel, engine idling. When I got home, I checked my dashcam footage out of pure nervous habit, half hoping it would explain something. The audio was there, her voice, clear as day, saying that last line about him being with me, about him trying to get home. But the footage showed the back seat entirely empty the whole ride, which I already knew. And it also showed me, in the driver's seat, appearing to talk to absolutely no one in the passenger area for the last 15 minutes, nodding along, responding to silence. I deleted the app the next morning before I'd even had coffee. Never drove again, no matter how tight money got that semester. I still don't know who he was. I don't know if she was ever really there at all, or if I picked up something else that night out on that dark road, something wearing her shape long enough to get where it needed to go. I just know I never take rides down roads without streetlights anymore. Not as a driver, not as a passenger, not ever, no matter how short the trip. My grandmother passed away 2 years ago. She lived alone in a small house at the edge of town, the kind of place with a landline because she never trusted cell phones. She used to say she didn't want a machine that could find her wherever she went. After she died, my mom kept paying the phone bill for almost a year, just so she wouldn't have to deal with canceling it right away. Grief does weird things to what feels urgent. Some bills you just can't bring yourself to cancel yet. About 6 months after the funeral, my phone rang late at night, past midnight. Unknown number, but the area code matched my grandmother's town, a small enough place that I recognized it immediately. I almost didn't answer. I did. Nobody spoke, just breathing, slow and even, and behind it, very faint, what sounded like her house. I recognized the specific creak of her kitchen floor, the one board by the sink that always groaned when you stepped on it, and the hum of that old refrigerator she refused to replace even after it started rattling. I said, "Hello?" a few times, my voice getting smaller each time. Nothing. Eventually the line went dead. No click, just silence, and then the dial tone. I told myself it was a wrong number, a glitchy line, whatever explanation would let me go back to sleep. I didn't think about it again until it happened a second time, 2 weeks later, almost the exact same time of night. Same silence, same background noise, her kitchen, her fridge, that one creaking board. The third time it happened, there was a voicemail left. I stared at the notification for a long time before I could make myself press play. I almost deleted it without listening, but something made me play it. It was her voice, my grandmother's voice, clear as the day she died, saying my name. Just my name, twice, the way she always used to call me in from the yard for dinner when I was a kid, that same rising familiar tone. Then 30 seconds of that same kitchen ambiance, the fridge humming, the floorboard creaking once like someone had shifted their weight. Then it cut off. I called my mom in a panic, hands shaking so bad I had to redial twice. She checked with the phone company the next morning. The landline had been disconnected for months by then. Officially, no service, no active line, nothing capable of making or receiving calls of any kind. I drove out to the house that weekend. Nobody had lived there since she passed. My mom hadn't gotten around to selling it, kept saying she'd deal with it eventually. I let myself in with the spare key, mostly just to prove to myself there was nothing to find, that I could walk through those rooms and feel nothing but an empty house. The air inside was stale and cold, dust on everything. The phone was still there, on the kitchen wall, exactly where it had always been, the same yellowed cord coiled beside it. I picked it up out of habit, out of muscle memory from 100 visits as a kid. No dial tone, obviously. Disconnected line, just like my mom said, just dead air. But when I hung it back on the receiver, it rang. Once. Loud in that silent house. In my hand, in an empty house, on a phone with no service, no line, nothing. I didn't pick it up. I put it down slow, backed out of the kitchen, and told my mom to sell the house as fast as possible. Didn't even care what price, just wanted it gone. It's been over a year since then. I haven't gotten another call, but I kept that voicemail. I still have it saved, backed up in 3 different places, like some part of me is afraid of losing it. And every once in a while, usually late at night when I can't sleep, I catch myself wondering if I should play it again. Just to hear her say my name one more time, just to feel that close to her again for 30 seconds. I haven't worked up the nerve. Some part of me is afraid that if I play it again, this time she won't stop at my name. This time, she might say something else. If tonight's story kept you looking over your shoulder, subscribe, because the darkness always has another story to tell. Lock your doors, check your windows, and I'll see you after dark.